Hello and welcome to Fierce Feedback.
Special edition though, we're not back properly.
We're not back properly, but
No.
it's a special Halloween.
Ooh! One of my favourite times
I
of
don't know
year.
if you're excited or just a ghost.
Both.
Okay.
Ghosts can be excited too. Don't discriminate.
Sorry about that. Yes, so welcome to this Halloween special of Fierce Feedback.
Got sweets.
Hi, Liz McCurry.
Hello, Will Goldson. How's it going?
It's
been
all right.
forever, hasn't it?
It has been forever. We're yet to release season 2, but we're going to record some special episodes, starting with this one at the Hallows. What do you call it? All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve is like our American friends refer to it.
Do they?
Or is it just from like old horror movies? Like I genuinely don't know.
Okay.
Pumpkins are involved.
Okay. I too did zero research for that part of the show. If you're not familiar, we normally bring a game each and surprise each other and talk about some of our games of the past. We are, again, going to be talking about the games of the past, but this time around, Elizabeth and I will be talking about vaguely Halloween-related, scary, horror-related games.
Which is 90% of what I play.
Yeah, 90% of what you play, approximately 0.1% of what I play. So that's the trade-off you've got between Liz and myself.
Are you going to make up for it at Christmas though? Do you pay like 0.9% of... No, wait a minute. 90%.
Liz is enjoying some seasonal Haribo, which is why her vocal abilities are becoming impaired.
Well, actually, my vocal abilities are impaired because I've had a brace fitted in between end of season 1 and this.
And because you're from the north.
So, I'm from the north. So, I can't pronounce certain letters together, but can spit a lot faster, further, and more frequently than I used to be able to. So,
right.
You might get a shower.
Thanks. Not really a problem for the listener, but good to know. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah,
So
roundabouts.
I had a bit of a think in my back catalogue about games that I could vaguely tie into Halloween. I've got 4 on my list.
4?
There'll probably be some honourable mentions. Liz, I
only prepared 3.
I know you did, but you've got like 8 pages of notes.
I can't stop eating these squidgy spiders.
That's fine, as long as you can vaguely talk.
I can a bit.
That's the only prerequisite we need. So I've got 4. They're not massively detailed. You can see this one is a paragraph.
Is one of them Luigi's Mansion?
One of them is not Luigi's Mansion.
Okay.
Is one of yours Luigi's Mansion?
No. I do think that we might have one the same, because we've spoken about how good it is before on previous episodes.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I have not done First Encounter Assault Recon, aka Fear.
No, I haven't either, actually.
Oh, it's not that?
No, but I did
interesting.
say...
I was convinced you were going to do that.
No.
That's why I didn't do it. Well, there's our first honourable mention, Fear.
That's a great game.
It is a great game.
I think I said in the previous podcast, it's the only first-person shooter that I've ever finished. And absolutely loved it. Armor's right, scary little beast.
You're more of a role-playist.
I'm more of a role-playist and more of a skidding on your knees and shooting the place up kind of person.
Lest we forget, Wet.
If Wet did a Halloween DLC, I'd be all over it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of Halloween DLCs. The only thing I can think of is Worms, because they pretty much did everything DLC.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did map packs with pumpkins and stuff.
Oh, that's cute. Red Dead Redemption did the zombie one, didn't they?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called though.
I'm trying to figure out if zombies really apply, but I do have several zombies in my list of games, so
Me too.
I'm gonna have to let that one go.
And Borderlands had that the evil doctor, is it Dr. Zed or whatever?
Sure.
They had a DLC with him in it and his evil zombies. I might be making that up. I mean, I played Borderlands forever ago.
It's true. So you're not into Borderlands 3 then? No, that's out.
I've not played it. No. I did enjoy the first Borderlands though. But that's not Halloweeny.
It's not. So Liz, would you like to...
Should have done Fear, shouldn't I?
You should have done Fear. I was convinced you were going to do Fear. So we just tell people about Fear, given that we both know about it.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's the kind of gusto that people want from this podcast.
That was, while I was thinking about it. Yeah. I was thinking whilst responding.
Okay, what was Fear, Liz?
Oh, I've just thought of another one that I haven't covered either.
Well, we can do honourable mentions.
You might not have done because I might have done it. Have you also skipped on Dead Space because you thought I might have done it?
Yes, that's exactly what I did.
I didn't do Dead Space either.
Oh, you silly, silly Billy.
So Fear was first-person shooter, Do you know what, though? The thing about Fear is that I genuinely can't remember who you play as. I only remember Alma and her story. So
It was a bit nondescript, wasn't it? I thought you were just like a military...
soldier.
Yeah, someone.
And
Nondescript.
So as you're playing through the game, you keep seeing this apparition of this girl, Alma, which is she's very like The Ring, short, pale skin with like long black hair over her face, just appearing when you don't want her to.
Yeah, when you don't want her to.
I always
and she's never there when you need her.
Yeah. I remember 2 bits in Fear that was particularly memorable. The first one was when I got in the lift. And the lift doors are closing and you're like, she's going to be there when the lift doors close. She wasn't. She's going to be there when I turn around to press the button on the panel. She wasn't.
There's great fake outs.
Yeah, there's amazing. I think that was what was so clever about it. There was a lot of great fake outs. So then the lift starts moving. You kind of forget about her. The lights flicker. She's there. And I was like, what are you doing? She also appeared at the top of ladders quite frequently.
Yes, the appearing at the top of ladders is what I remember. Because like there's a very distinct... It was around that time where first-person shooters were playing around with like, oh, if you could see your hands doing stuff, like climbing a ladder. And there's like, instead of just like going like all the way up with your gun in front of you, which doesn't make any sense, you had like grapple on, hand going on to each thing. I suppose that was like maybe early IK or maybe they faked it or animation or something. But like you were climbing up and then you got to the top and sort of pulled yourself up and she was just right in your face. And oh, God.
And it never got old.
No, it was great throughout. The player, by the way, I just had a quick check on the Wikipedia, available now on the internet. In the game, the player is Point Man, a silent protagonist and member of FEAR.
Is he related in any way to G-Man?
No, I don't think so. Hang on. The second game, right, sorry. So Fear 2, the second game's playable character is Michael Beckett, a member of the Delta Force. So in other words... You just became a slightly different nondescript soldier person.
I can't remember in which way he was related to Alma either.
Was he?
Like, not related by blood, but like maybe he knew of her or... Genuinely can't remember what her story turned out to be, but I can speculate for hours.
She's a young psychic girl who was experimented on and imprisoned by Armacam Technology Corporation. Alma becomes a powerful psychic entity filled with rage and an insatiable bloodlust.
Well, you would, wouldn't you, really? Yeah.
That's imprisonment for you. So Liz, that's Fear. Would you like to start us off with one of your Hatchwell games?
I don't like going first.
In that case, I'll go first, given it's the only other option.
So can I guess what your ones are going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I've got 4 of them. 2 of them, I'll give you some years, see if I can steer you. 1997 for 2 of them.
1997.
1999 for 1 of them. And 2008 for my 4th and final one. Yes.
1999 was Silent Hill. It was also Resident Evil 3. But I don't think it's either of those.
'Tis neither.
I imagine that none of them are on the PlayStation.
Let me think this through. One of them was on the PlayStation 1.
Ooh.
The second one, I think, was either PS1. Oh, no, it's PS2. And then the last one was on PS3.
Are any of them Clock Tower or Haunting Ground?
No. What are they?
So, Clock Tower, I've only played Clock Tower 3. And it was that genre of games that was around like, I mean, I'm sure there was many before and after, but around like late 90s, early 2000, where survival horror took this turn where you couldn't fight back. So a lot of the mechanics were you were just hiding and evading.
Oh, more stealthy.
Yeah.
Right.
So Clock Tower 3 was this girl and there was just lots of awful monsters after her. There was this guy with just scissors and he just used to run around going snip snip. I'm not covering that today, otherwise I'd...
Oh, what a shame. He sounds fascinating.
And then Haunting Ground was Capcom, I believe, and it was just a very similar mechanically, and there was a dog. Yeah. So it's that kind of thing. But that's not... I'm not covering any of them. Or that type of horror.
Again, another tangent, because that's what we do here. You've reminded me of Running with Scissors games, who made Postal. I mentioned Postal to you before.
Yeah.
It was just a really gory I guess it's a shooting simulator, which is, in light of today's society, pretty dark. But when it came out, more rare. No, this was also like around the mid to late 90s sort of video nasty, Mortal Kombat. And one of the games that I'm going to bring up. Okay, so there's a clue. One of them was kind of a video nasty game that I'm bringing up. And part of that whole this is a moral outrage and a panic.
Oh.
Does that steer you anywhere?
Manhunt.
And that's another clue. Wasn't Manhunt, but that would be another good addition here. I didn't actually play Manhunt, I don't think.
I only played it because... Oh no. Can I say that? So it got banned, right?
So you played it because it got banned and you were dead edgy?
No, I've never been edgy.
No, that's true enough.
So I played it because I worked at a popular computer game retailer at the time that it was banned. So our stock room was just backed up with copies of Manhunt.
Right.
So on one of my lunch breaks, I was like, I'm going to play this and see how bad it is. If you play it with the headphones, there's a voice in your ear like telling you to kill people. And I was just like, I can't play this.
Yeah, it's pretty upsetting.
Yeah, it upset me quite a bit.
Okay.
So that's my experience. I'm not covering Manhunt today.
Good. So can you guess my video nasty? If not, I'm going to get on with it.
What was that
1997.
one? Final
PC.
Fantasy 7.
No.
DC.
PC. And PS1, I believe.
Oh, System Shock.
'Tis not.
How about that one that David Cage did with Bowie?
No.
Oh, don't know then. Galarians.
Great attempt, Liz. A valiant attempt. I'm going for SCI Games 1997 Carmageddon.
Oh, okay. I know of it, but never played it. Please tell me more.
I believe I mispronounced it at the time, Carmageddon, because before that I was into dinosaurs.
I think that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, I know. Carmageddon, it was kind of... So it's basically a death race, and it's kind of loosely based on this Roger Corman film. Roger Corman is this 70s director. He invented a type of film called Troma.
Troma?
And it's basically just like super low budget, make your own movie, do it however you can. So he created The Toxic Avenger. He also did like a super old, I think it was like early 80s Fantastic Four movie.
Really?
It was just like so bad. Like Troma is all about being so bad it's good. And he did this film called Death Race 2000 in the 70s.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
Oh, you remember that film? Okay, so that had weirdly had Sylvester Stallone in it. Super young Sylvester Stallone.
I did not know that.
Pre like Rocky and all of that other stuff. When he was just sort of like starting out as an actor.
Before Demolition Man.
Very much before.
Love Demolition Man.
Yes. So Carmageddon was kind of like in that pocket of 90s moral panic, like, oh, this is just, sadistic form of entertainment, and because you're playing it, there's more agency, and so, what if kids play this and then they think they can drive cars and run people over?
Oh dear.
Because it was all about you either winning the race or just destroying the other cars. And so you, in a kind of like Destruction Derby kind of thing, if you ever played that.
Well,
bless you.
Thank you. How was it? How did it relate? Wait. Was it the same as Twisted Metal? Or Twisted Metal
but
Black?
there's some good parallels.
Arena, right?
Exactly. That's an arena. This was an actual track. It's in like usually in a city with like skyscrapers and stuff around. You basically would go around these tracks, either finish the thing, but usually you just drive around. You can totally just drive around the circuit backwards, bully other cars, and to the point of destroying them. You could get like power-ups where you would fire stuff at them or get high speed and ram them and stuff. Like
wacky races for adults.
Exactly. Wacky races for adults. Should have been on the back of the box. and it was just kind of like, you remember when I talked about Worms in that episode where I said it like felt like a really complete product. They had like cut scenes before each race, all like rendered in the CGI of the time. The game itself was 3D cars, 3D buildings, and then billboard, as in Doom billboards, sort of flat sprite, human pedestrians, whatever. That and then lots of blood when you ran into them and guts and things flying around. That part got banned in Germany. They turned it into green-blooded zombies instead of people, because they were like, yeah, the rest is fine, but just this part. I think that was Germany. Oh, might have been us, but I'm not too sure. But basically, you could get a mod really easily and just switch it back to the blood thing. They left it in the game that you could switch it back, which is pretty great. And you play as a character called Max Damage, or a female character called Diana. Given that it came out in 97, that was pretty bold. I'm not sure if it came out first or after.
They could have saved themselves some work and just kept it as Max Damage. Like for girl or boy.
That's true. Maxine Damage.
Maxine Damage.
True. But yeah, but the cool thing about it was you had like...
That's my contribution.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah.
In the top left of the HUD, you had like... You know how in Doom you have the little head?
The face that does the expressions.
Yes.
Yes.
You have a little... But it's like live action, little video clips.
Oh, really?
Like GIFs. Of kind of just like looking around and looking angry and then looking to the left if you got hit from the left or whatever.
That's so good.
And it was just this kind of like skeezy looking guy in a helmet with just like dirt on his face and then like dark eye makeup, looked like something from the Misfits or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
He was great. And she was great too. And yeah, it was just that kind of feel of like you had a bit of live action, you had the CGI cutscenes to start out, and always be like all the people revving their engines and then running over whoever was doing the checkered flag to start off the race. It was just great. And then Carmageddon 2 came out a couple of years later. And that at that point, everything was proper 3D, including the pedestrians who again then sort of flew apart in bits. And they just like had a lot more physics to it and the handling was a lot better. And it was just a really great game. They made a comeback like a couple of years ago. They made like a reboot of the series.
Really?
Never got to play it though. Yeah, it came out on PC, PS4 and Xbox.
I didn't know this.
Yes.
Was it 2-player?
I don't know if they did networked play.
Because if you play as a group of friends, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to recall. I don't think I did. Oh yeah. Carmageddon Reincarnation was the one.
Do you remember that?
Came back. So that's 2015. That's going back a little bit now. Yeah, but I think the favourite... there was something very special about the first one, but 2 was one I played probably a lot more. That's Carpocalypse Now.
What got you into it? It doesn't seem like your usual trend of...
Well, the thing is, it's... anything around that period, I got into it because of like PC Zone or PC Format CD demo discs.
Yeah.
So they put out a demo of this. This was around the same time I was playing like Doom and one of the other games I'm about to cover, which isn't Doom.
I'm surprised you didn't do Doom. How didn't I guess that?
No, I didn't want to do... Doom's kind of discussed to death. I'm doing something that's a kind of an offshoot of that kind of era of things, which I'm probably way more passionate about than Doom. I'm just trying to see if this did do network play. There's lots on Wikipedia about the controversy. Oh yeah, so the game was censored, including Germany and for a short time the UK.
Wow.
They contained zombies with green blood or robots with black oil instead.
Oh, poor robots.
Thanks, BBFC.
I know, it's in the spirit of Halloween, but I've had so many sweets and drank so much fizzy pop, I feel a bit lightheaded.
Okay. Is that relevant to the game, or?
No.
You just wanted to keep the user informed?
If I start giggling uncontrollably, you know why.
Okay, cool. So that's Carmageddon. I absolutely loved it. It's just in that kind of era of like games kind of testing the boundaries of what you could do. And honestly, like there's not that many car combat games. I've talked to you about Interstate 76 before.
Yeah. My
fave of all time, which I will cover in length in the next season, most probably. But I have an affinity for driving games, and this was just totally different.
That sounds dead good.
And I love apocalyptic things too, and it had that kind of feel.
Who was the director that you mentioned?
Roger Corman.
He didn't do Mad Max, did he?
No, that's George Miller.
Oh, I see. Because it's very it's not very Mad Max, is it? It's not Wasteland, but...
No, but it's meant to be like a weird alternate future. It's more in line with like the Running Man,
great
or anything like that. then Mad Max.
What's your fondest memory of this game?
Fondest memory of this game is definitely in the second game, so I'm going to just jump to that. In the second game, they had I can't remember what it's called, but they basically had a power-up that you could get, which is a spring, like a boxing glove on a spring type thing.
Yeah.
And because it's just locking on to other cars, you could just drive up near a car and then fire it, and it would basically just ping them into a building, and they would just go, and it just, it was just really, like, it felt really good.
What came first, Carmageddon or Mario Kart?
Oh, great question. Well, definitely Mario Kart, because that was on the SNES.
Okay.
So that was 91 or 2. Okay. This is 97.
That's so good.
Yeah. I enjoyed it very much. Liz, regale me with one of your selections.
Ooh.
For this Halloween special.
Okie dokie. Well, my first one. What I thought I'd do.
Go on.
Is like stretch across the generations.
Straddle
the generations, if you will.
Yeah.
There are so many games I could have brought today because horror's my thing.
Well, there's always next Halloween, Liz.
There is, and one of them that I'm doing today, I really didn't want to do, but I'm going to because I wanted to do a whole episode on it. But maybe it won't stop me.
Yeah, maybe you still will.
Maybe I still will. First one then, eh?
Okay. Close my eyes. Liz has actually brought her games with her.
I've got my notes as well.
Oh, you got your notes too.
So I've spoken about this game before because it was released on my birthday in 1999. What does that mean? Right?
Final Fantasy VIII.
And my
You're not just doing Final Fantasy VIII again.
Back. I'd like to talk about Final Fantasy VIII.
What about your next game, Liz? Final Fantasy VIII again. Oh.
And this was what my mum bought me for my birthday along with Final Fantasy.
I know what it is.
What is it?
I know what it is.
What is it?
It is. Let me just consult the mind palace of my memory.
Oh, I've got a receipt from Boots in there as well.
Brilliant. I know what this is. This is Resident Evil 3.
Yeah! Yes! Oh, you listen to me. You're the only one that does. So it's in this bubble wrap.
Just to help the microphone.
So I may have mentioned before that my partner collects mint condition PlayStation 1 games.
You did mention that, yes.
So this is his, and I've been given a million warnings as to like not smash it. So
but we can open it and just fuck around with it, right?
Yeah. So he doesn't listen to this. He listens to me enough. So it's in bubble wrap and it's in this protective plastic case. I'm just going to open it. Oh no, he says to open it from the bottom. Don't tell him. Oh no.
What do you mean, Liz? You are opening it from the bottom.
Yeah. Oh crap. Right, I'm getting it out now. So, 22nd of September 1999, also my birthday.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, or Biohazard The Last Escape, as it was called in Japan, was released. So look at this handsome fellow on the front. I'll wipe our fingerprints off later and put it back without him knowing.
This is presumably Baron Bioshock himself.
So I'm starting at Resident Evil 3 because it has a relevance to me. The first is that I got it for my birthday. It was one of the first games I got for the PlayStation 1.
That you'd been asking for a very long time.
Yes.
From your mum.
It was not my first dance with death. Well, it was.
What are you talking about?
It wasn't the first time I played Resident Evil.
Okay.
As you know, I played the first one with my cousins.
Yep.
I'm not going to go into the whole history of Resident Evil.
No.
For those of you who don't know, Resident Evil is arguably the game that defined the survival horror genre. Mm-hmm. It was set back in 1995 was the first Resident Evil?
Yeah, I think so.
And it's people who go to a mansion. Wait, are you saying
it's set in 1995?
I think it's set in 1998, isn't it?
I don't know.
But it was released in 1999.
You're the expert.
I'm not any. I am
Evil.
not an expert in Resident Evil. I'm just a huge fan.
Liz said to me before we recorded, "I'm an expert."
And Joe Robbins has done a Resident Evil quiz.
And yeah, And yeah, she's going to be proved wrong when I ask her some questions. I'm going to ask you some quiz questions because I've got the manual here.
I am a massive Resident Evil fan, okay?
Yeah.
But I am not an expert. And there are many, many, many videos online that you can watch that show the whole history of Resident Evil, back like right from 0 all the way to like most recent.
But
they're fascinating.
If I was to ask you, for example, Jill Valentine's blood type,
B.
You'd be correct.
Is it?
Yep.
So, love this game because Jill's in it. Yep. Jill is our heroine from Resident Evil 1 who escapes the Spencer estate. So Resident Evil, they're in this house that's been overrun by zombies. There's like 2 people that you play as, Chris and Jill. Jill is the main protagonist of this one. So, the director of this was Shinji Mikami.
Your favourite.
Who's a ledge. He also did the first Resident Evil. So he did the first Resident Evil in 1996. Sorry, it was 1996, not 1995. And he also did Dino Crisis, which is another great game. And the absolutely incredible Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, masterpiece.
Absolute masterpiece. And he's then gone on to create his own studio, Tango Gameworks, where he did The Evil Within.
Nice. Good work.
So he is a great guy. So Resident Evil 3 was originally released on the PlayStation. It was later released on the Dreamcast and the GameCube.
Love it.
It's dead good. So, what's it about then?
I don't know. Tell me.
So, Resident Evil 1, they're in this mansion, everything's gone bonkers, shoot some zombies, get on the roof, escape in a helicopter, right?
Job done.
Job done. Resident Evil 2, 2 people in the city, city's gone overrun. Oh gosh, what's going on? Resident Evil 3 is set 24 hours before Resident Evil 2.
Oh.
So you start in Raccoon City, as you do in Resident Evil 2, where the outbreak from the mansion has spread.
Right.
And so there's a lot of environments from Resident Evil 2 that you explore, like the police station and that kind of thing. And it has Jill Valentine in it, who is just super cool. I think, like, I played Tomb Raider, and, like, Lara Croft is obviously awesome, but Jill Valentine was probably my first experience of like a tough video game heroine.
Nice.
And she just rocks up to Raccoon City in a boob tube, a miniskirt and a bazooka.
Hold on, lest we forget, she's got she's got what you just described. She's also got a jumper tied around her waist.
Well, you have to be prepared for certain weather conditions.
What if it gets sniffy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just pop on a jumper.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
She's just, forward thinking.
I like how she's got that, and then the guy, Carlos, who you'll come on to in a minute, I imagine. Carlos Oliveira is just dressed to the nines in military attire.
Yes.
There's no way he could just have a skimpy outfit on, could he? Outrageous. So, Carlos Oliveira. Yeah.
So one of
blood type.
AB.
No.
C.
No. Q. It's Q. No, his blood type is O.
Oh.
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 So,
he's a UBCS soldier in charge of heavy firearms.
I would put him in charge of heavy firearms.
Do you know what UBCS is?
They're like one Umbrella, of the... Yeah. So they're one of the military... So basically, they've been sent into Raccoon City to clear up the mess that Umbrella made. Ooh. I'm sounding really genuinely angry, like I care.
The bloody mess they've made.
I made a right mess, so they sent in the military to sort it out, and he's one of the mercenaries.
Oh, Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service. I like that they're a service.
Oh. So one of the things that I like so much about Resident Evil 3 is the characters. And there's a novelization by someone called S.D. Perry.
Nice.
And they did...
And you've read it?
I've read most of them. Yeah, there's like a whole collection of them. So there's one called Caliban Cove, which isn't based on any games to my knowledge. And then Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, another great game.
Oh, yeah.
Novelizations of them. And the characters in it are embellished a lot more in the novel than you see them in the game. And so if you really like the game and you like the characters, the novelization is great. And you can still buy them. You can order them into Waterstones.
Right, okay.
Yeah, speaking from experience. But Carlos is great. The first time that you meet him, he says something like, "Hey lady, I'm no zombie," or something like super like steady on love.
Yeah, calm down.
Calm
not
down.
A zombie.
And then later on, he's like, "I know you want to ask me out because all the foxy ladies dig my accent." Because he's like got like a Latino
What's his accent
American.
like this?
It was exactly like that I just did. Can you not tell? And there's a great soundbite of him on the Resident Evil wiki page.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, for this special episode,
Yes.
I got a bit of help.
Oh.
So I contacted the Capcom community manager.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Amazing. Go on.
And asked for some help. And she was great. So I'm Catastrophe on Twitter. And she was like, you need to go and check out the Resident Evil wiki pages because they
Will
have
you give her an actual name
great
check as well?
information. Cat.
Cool. There we go.
I'm not sure of her full name. I just know
I see.
from Twitter. Yeah.
Okay,
so,
apologies.
I'm Catastrophe with a K, and her name's Kat. She's
Cool.
the community manager for Capcom. So I went along, and there's got some great stuff, including sound bites of Carlos.
Okay, Liz, we've cut a bit. We've got back to the wiki.
Are you trying to say I'm unprepared?
No. Why would anyone claim that?
You're trying to say my only job is to be prepared and informed. So
we've now found Carlos
Oliveira. Like I shouldn't love him. I should not love him. He is just a terrible.
Misogynistic.
Yeah, exactly.
He sounds awful.
But he's just such a lovable rogue.
Okay. Well, can I play you a little sample?
Please.
I know. You want to ask me out? All the foxy ladies love my accent. It drives them crazy.
Now,
He's great.
That definitely wasn't a man from that particular location that Carlos was meant to be from.
He's great. I got on with Carlos very well. And,
Oh, right, when did you meet him?
well, later in the game,
Okay.
spoiler, Jill Valentine gets infected by Nemesis, the title character, and then you take over as Carlos and you have to go find the antidote. And it's just really fun to play as.
Oh, okay.
So, quickly, you're going to say, gameplay of Resident Evil 3 is like tank controls as per 1 and 2 for the PlayStation
Resident Evil Forever
era. And one of the mechanics that was introduced in it was the ability to mix gunpowder, so you could create gunpowder, which was cool. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't be picking up ammo all the time, you'd be picking up ingredients to like mix, which was always fun. Mm-hmm. And you would be pursued by this character that you can see on the front, who's like a scary skeletal man full of pipes. And he's called Nemesis.
John Nemesis.
Yeah.
Neil Nemesis.
Nelson Nemesis.
Yeah.
And so he would just rock up at when you didn't want him to. And
he's never there when you need him.
He's never there when you need him. And would just chase you and hit you with his big arm.
Oh, no. What was he up to with his little arm?
Waving.
Just...
So, if you played Resident Evil 2, or indeed the remake this year...
I didn't actually. That's meant to be very, very, very good, isn't it?
It is fantastic.
Okay. Did you play it?
Yeah, I finished it in like a day.
Oh.
Because Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to say about him? What was I telling you about
You're
Mr.
talking about
Nemesis?
Yeah, Neil Nemesis.
Neil Nemesis. So Neil Nemesis
hits you with his big arm.
hits you with his big arm, and the only word he can say is stars, which I should have said at the beginning. So Jill and Chris were part of the STARS unit in Resident Evil 1.
Of course.
So he's been programmed by Evil and Corporation Umbrella to find all of the surviving STARS members and kill them.
Nice.
So that's why he runs around. He's like a street shark. He does not use doors. He just comes through walls. He just jumps off buildings. He just has no airs and graces.
He's like a tank enemy.
He really is.
Yeah.
And you can choose to fight him or not. But if you do, he drops a bit of a weapon. And then you can put it together and get a fancy new weapon after you've fought him a few times. Which,
okay.
You know.
So you just fight him and then he
fun.
sort of goes away and then comes back, kind of thing?
Yeah, he's just completely undefeatable, but is the end boss. And he has like loads of final forms. He's always tentacling about. He's always about. He's got his special music. When he comes on, it goes do-do-do-do-do. And then he goes stars. And then
Stars.
yeah.
So he's not like just like a celebrity spotter.
He might be. He's just a journalist trying to get a scoop. Sometimes the music comes on. He says stars. He's not even on the screen, but his bazooka gets you right in the face.
Oh, that's pretty.
He's got like a big bazooka thing on his arm.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
What, his big arm?
Yeah, his big arm.
Right.
And he's got a fancy coat on. Can you tell? I haven't read the back of the box.
Hang on, a fancy coat? No, let me have a look at this.
He's got a lovely trench coat on, hasn't he?
It does look quite nice, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
ASOS, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Got his monster discount.
Yeah.
He's smiling as well. He's always smiling.
He is always smiling on account of not having any lips.
Well, you know,
So,
swings and roundabouts.
yeah.
So shall I read the back of the box and then we'll move on?
Please do.
Okay. Resident Evil 3, Nemesis. Just days after surviving the grisly disaster at the Mansion Lab, Jill Valentine, who's great, resigns from STARS.
Oh.
So clearly Nemesis doesn't know she's resigned. And
Yeah.
vows to leave Raccoon City. But as
It's like, check with HR.
yeah, I don't work for them anymore.
Yeah. Leave it alone.
Freelance. But as events, but as events overtake her, she suddenly finds herself trapped by hordes of flesh-eating zombies, hideous mutants, and the relentless new Nemesis. I'm always going to call him Nemesis now.
No, I'm laughing at freelance. It's good.
Unemployed. Once again, she must rely on cunning and brute force to escape.
Oh, no.
What she discovers is the evil created by the Umbrella Corporation is even more horrifying than she ever imagined. 10 out of 10, one of the most impressive slices of PlayStation entertainment to date, and that's from the official PlayStation magazine.
Wow.
I could talk about it forever, as you know, but I'm going to leave it there and put it back in its box so it does not get damaged.
Okay. I'm going to move on swiftly to my next game, which...
Please excuse me, Ryan.
Why do
Twang
it
this
now?
back into the box.
Why not do it now?
I didn't think it would take that long. Done it, innit? I'm ready.
Are you? Liz is awkwardly creaking some plastic back together that she knows she's going to get in trouble for later.
Yeah. Done it.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so my next game is from 1997 as well. Right, first person shooter, 1997, Blood by Monolith Games.
But what's it called?
It's called Blood.
How's it spelled?
Blood.
Never heard of it.
Blood. How did you think it was? Oh, you want like UD, like blood?
Yeah, yeah.
No, this is Blood. So Blood.
What does the box look like? Can you describe it to me?
No, I'll just show it to you. And those who are watching, no, there's no one watching. If you're listening, just type in Blood 1997 into the Google and you'll see the game I'm talking about. Where's the box art?
You just did the Nemesis soundtrack.
Freelance. Yeah, this is not the box art. I remember that's a box art.
I've never ever heard of this.
So this was around the time that. Yeah, that's what I remember. It's just this like demony thing.
Heard of that. Is Monolith who did Fear as well? No. Ignore me. Carry on. Sorry, I keep asking all these questions.
Don't think so. So basically, around the time when you had Doom, 93, Doom 2, Final Doom, all of these like games with the Doom engine that had 3D, but then sprites for weapons and for enemies. That kind of era of first-person shootery things.
Yeah.
So Duke Nukem 3D from 96 was the same vibe, and that was based on something called the Build Engine by a guy called Ken Silverman, literally just one guy working on this engine.
That's awesome.
At 3D Realms. And Monolith licensed this engine and kind of worked with him on it, and the year after released this game called Blood. And Blood is it's super gothic, it's a horror game. You play as a guy called Caleb, who is a former member of this demon servicing cult called the Cabal.
Oh, dear.
So the demon at some point goes a bit nuts, murders all of his lieutenants, kidnaps your missus, and then absconds. And the game is all about you getting revenge on the murderous cult. So all of the enemies,
sounds great.
occultists and demons and things like that.
This sounds awesome.
It's really good. And it was, I think to me, that's why I didn't do Doom, like I was mentioning. This is like the standout of the Billboard era to me. It just, the weapons, the way everything was tuned, the speed, the quality of like the sprite effects and everything, even down to like fine details, like you had a Tommy gun and all of the bullet casings would stay where and had physics, which was really weird and like unnecessarily detailed. And you had like a bunch of dynamite and a lighter as one of the weapons. And there's just like super satisfying explosions of things.
And this was 97?
This was 97,
Has it ever had any reboot or predecessors?
No, they did remasters. They did sequel. They did Blood 2, which wasn't really as good. It was that kind of like just leaping into the 3D, like sort of Quake 2 era.
Yeah.
So Quake was obviously the first full polygonal game. I wanted to cover Quake, but then I thought it's not quite as in depth. And it is a bit more, obviously more gothic than, well, in some ways than Blood. And it has that kind of like dark, depressing style to it. Everything's like shades of brown and, you know, demons and lava and stuff. So
this sounds great.
I really loved Quake. But Blood just had a ton of detail to it. And it was still in that pocket of, you know, when I didn't enjoy Duke and enjoyed Doom and Final Doom and Doom 2 and all those things. And there were other games around at the time like Heretic and Hexen, which were Ravensoft, I think. I went on to do like the Soldier of Fortune games.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, Blood was just really like nicely done, and there were like creepy voiceovers and things. Like you started off in a grave. Like he buries you in a shallow grave and you start off with a pitchfork. And there's just this thing where you're just sort of like the grave is just sort of coming up. And for some reason, like it's a lift or an elevator for our American friends. And he just goes, I live again.
Oh my God.
And and you grab your pitchfork and you're off to the races. It's also very, very quick game. Like I was watching this YouTube last night where someone had clocked how fast the player runs if it was in real life. 46 miles an hour.
I love facts like that.
Yeah, I just love that someone bothered to. And I think on the video it said 46.6 miles an hour, as if they've got the assets or something and figured out what a meter is. I don't know.
Do you remember those trundle wheels?
What, the thing that you used to measure stuff in the playground?
I think they used one of them to measure it. Yeah. Scientific.
But yeah, Blood was really great.
How does it play out? Do you get your woman back and do you kill the demon?
I mean, you just are ending up fighting bigger and bigger demon bosses.
This sounds incredible. I don't know how I ever missed this.
It's great. Well, you weren't in that kind of PC era of things, were you?
Was it PC only?
I think so. It was.
Darn it!
It was. Yeah, I don't think many of those no Billboard shooters apart from Doom, maybe one or two others. Yeah, I don't remember many of them really making it onto PlayStation, because once you got into, you know, you had things like Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that where it was all polygonal stuff.
Yeah. There
wasn't that much appetite for those kind of shooters. And once you got into games where you could look around rather than just like, so in the original Doom you're just moving left, right, back and forwards. Mm-hmm. You're not mouse looking around. Whereas in Quake you could mouse look around.
Yeah. And
I think in Blood 2, maybe I'm wrong, misremembering. But obviously if you think about the D-pad on a console, you never had any reason to also be able to look around. Mm-hmm. So that polygonal stuff that came with the DualShock when you had two directional sticks made it more viable. But you there was never really a taste for, you know, the simple first-person shooters. So there was like a huge cabal of games on the PC at the time. Like I said, your Doom, your Heretic, Duke Nukem, Hexen, Quake, and so on. But Quake was the kind of like turning point into 3D.
Did you ever play a game called The Darkness?
No, I know what you're talking about. And weirdly, The Darkness looks very much like the box art of Blood 2.
A lot of what you're saying seems very similar to themes of The Darkness, which I played, I think it was 360 PS3 era. I couldn't be 100%. But it seems like it has very similar themes, very similar tones. And I absolutely loved it.
It looks like him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So Blood 2 The Chosen, if you look at the box art, It looks kind of like,
Darkness was great. I want to hear more about Blood. It sounds like something I would play. It sounds like something I would really enjoy. I'm really sad that I missed it.
Well, Liz, I can tell you that there is like a remaster called Blood Fresh Supply. There's a studio that has this engine that they've used to port lots of things to modern graphics cards and stuff like that. I'm really struggling to remember the name of them or the engine, but basically they've kind of completely up-resed it and done it completely faithfully from the original code. So you can go on GOG and look for Blood Fresh Supply, which I am going to do because I want to replay this as well.
I'm going to do that. It sounds great.
You need a PC though. It's the only rub.
I've got yeah.
You got a laptop?
Yeah.
Job done.
Woo.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Sounds great.
It's really good.
What's the name of your main man? Caleb.
Caleb from the Cabal. It's almost like they just rejigged letters. Liz, tell me about your second game, please.
You've seen it. You've just seen it, haven't you? You know what it is.
No, I don't.
2005.
Okay. Give me some clues.
It is one of my favourite games.
All right.
This was not what I was going to do an episode on, but I could quite easily do an episode on. And I play it at least once a year.
That doesn't narrow it down. You've got a lot of favourites.
It's never, ever less fun for playing it every year.
Okay.
Recently just finished it, actually. Again. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm not going to guess it. It is Final Fantasy VIII.
2005.
Yep. Give me the developer and I'll see if I can figure it out.
It was published by Capcom and developed by Capcom Production Company 4, I think they were called.
Okay.
Let me double check on my notes. Oh, that's my old notes. Oh, where's all my notes? Yeah, Capcom Production Studio 4.
The only thing I can think of is Devil May Cry, but it's probably not that.
Very related to, actually.
Okay.
I'll have you know. It actually is the game that, in its very early stages, became Devil May Cry.
Oh, it's on the tip of my brain. I'm not going to get it, so let's go for it. Damn it.
Resident Evil 4.
Oh, it is Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Oh, that's confusing.
Have you done Resident Evil 4?
Yeah. I mean, I played it.
I thought you'd have done it today.
Oh, no, I haven't done it today.
Oh.
I played it on the GameCube.
Oh, gosh. I've played it on everything apart from Switch.
And Liz has brought with her the Wii edition.
The Wii edition. Which came with the chainsaw controller, right?
What?
I had the Resident Evil 4 GameCube. Oh, no, it might have been the GameCube that came with the chainsaw controller.
Liz is wearing a brace.
And chewing gummy sweets.
Yeah.
Chainsaw controller.
Yes.
So I played it I think it's available on 11 platforms now.
Man alive.
And you
there are men alive in here.
You did an episode recently that was about like the Capcom 5 and how Beautiful Joe was one of them, right? And you said Resident Evil 4 was going to be one of the Capcom 5 as well.
Yep.
You know,
they got gypped.
This has now been released on over 11 platforms, I believe. So I played it on PS2, PS4, Wii, GameCube, PC. It's now on the Switch.
Is it on the Switch?
Yeah.
Ooh. It's presumably they have to stick with the tank controls for balance sake, right?
Oh, and on iPad as well.
iPad?
And iPhone.
Are you playing? Do you really want to play Resident Evil 4 on an iPad?
I did.
Okay. Although I suppose you can use the old PS4 controller on iPad now, can't you?
Mm-hmm. And it's got like one of those movement, the movement circles, and you just kind of use it like joystick? A D-pad. Yeah, one of them. What did you ask me? You asked me something.
I don't recall. I said, why would anyone want to play it on an iPad? Not really a question for you. I am going to ask you a question, though, once I can find information about blood types.
I don't know Leon Kennedy's blood type.
There's no information on blood types. I'm very let down by this manual. There's a great cast of characters here, though.
Resident Evil 4.
Have you just are you doing 3 Resident Evil games?
I'm not telling you.
Oh.
That would ruin the surprise, wouldn't it? I've eaten all of these sweets.
I love that guy.
The merchant. No.
What are you buying?
Resident Evil 4 is one of my favourite Resident Evils.
Yeah. I think everyone would agree.
It is incredible. And it is a huge leap from Resident Evil 3. I mean, it was released on PlayStation 2, which was obviously the next generation from the PlayStation, but it completely changed the way that Resident Evil did its thing. So it was still tense and scary, it was still zombies, but it was very action-oriented, and Leon was back in full force, and just whoever wrote the script for Leon Kennedy in Resident Evil 4 was just a genius.
So, hang on a minute. Leon, who's you got Chris, you got Jill. Who's Leon? Who was he in the first one as well?
Because
I've forgotten if he was.
I alluded to...
Was he in 2?
Yeah, so I alluded to Resident Evil 2 being set in a city with 2 new people. So right. Leon is from Resident Evil 2. Poor old Leon in Resident Evil 2 was his first day on the job of being a police officer, and Raccoon City went to hell.
In at the deep end.
In Resident Evil 4, it's his first day of being the president's bodyguard, and his daughter goes missing. So Leon is like a bad omen.
Like, they're just throwing in Escape from New York.
Yeah! But it's so good.
So good.
So, I've written under story in my notes, Leon having a bad day again. I think that just sums it up really well.
Yeah, it's kind of like Jack Bauer's full days of bullshit.
Yeah.
That's the new season out now on Fox.
So Resident Evil 4, memorable because it just totally took the Resident Evil formula and just mixed it up in a way that was still familiar. So it had characters in that you knew, it had the zombies in that you knew.
It's got all your favourite zombies back.
It's got your favourite zombies back.
I can't believe they're back from the dead.
But it was just a lot more actiony and a lot more involved, and there was just, the zombies didn't... There was like slow-paced zombies in the first maybe 3 Resident Evils, and there was faster creatures in them, like the hunters and things.
Yeah, well, the tension was all about like getting enough bullets into them in time.
Yes.
So to speak.
Whereas in this, it was just a lot more, you had control of what was going on, you had a bit of a cheeky quick turn, and you could free roam the environments a little bit more fluidly.
Oh yeah, you could do a quick 180, couldn't you, and then start running away?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, and if you stun them, you could kick them or suplex them, or it was just a lot more action. And I always remember one of the first bosses is the creature that you fight in the lake. Do you remember that?
I remember the guy with the bag on his head. And the chainsaw. What? That's the guy who's on the cover, isn't he? Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, with bag on head.
Yeah, he comes around a lot.
Baghead.
With his... He must be a friend of Neil Emesis.
Yeah.
So, Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect game. I think it's one of the few games I've played that I think is perfect. I literally cannot fault it. I go back and play it at least once a year.
Do you?
And I'm blown away by it every time. Leon's still makes me laugh. The bosses still creep me out. In fact, there's a creature in it called the Regenerator, which, despite me having played Resident Evil 4 so many times, still creeps me out. Do you remember it?
I'm trying to think, because I'm pretty sure I finished it on GameCube. What's it look like?
It's got like big teeth like this.
Liz is holding a clawed hand, great nails by the way.
Oh, thanks.
In front of her face.
And I've got Beetlejuice themed nails. And
did he have those?
He had really long nails, yeah, but they weren't painted like Beetlejuice.
Okay.
And they made a sound like they were suffocating.
Oh.
They'd be like, as they were like coming towards you.
Is that the sound of suffocating?
Oh yeah, they were horrible.
Okay.
And they were really big and gangly.
Oh no.
And they were seemingly unkillable. Is that a word?
Sure.
But if you got your like scope on your rifle, your thermal scope, you could see all the little parasites inside, and you had to pick the parasites off to kill it.
Yeah.
And then later in the game, there was some that if they got really close to you, would just explode into spikes and instantly kill you.
Oh, God.
Regenerators were awful. I've written in my notes, Regenerators, the scariest Resi creature apart from Neptune, the massive shark. So, development process of Resident Evil 4. Like, it had a very long development process. And
torturous, would you say?
Lots of different iterations. But I think it was worth it because it's a perfect game.
Liz, I don't know if you're going to go over to it. Can you give a quick plot synopsis of Resi 4 for the uninitiated?
Well, Leon's given to the president as a bodyguard.
Yeah.
He goes, "Don't worry, El Presidente, I've got this." His daughter goes missing. And the president's
like, cheers for that, but got a mission for you.
Yeah, go find my daughter, Ashley.
Yeah.
So he packs you off to Spain.
Don't call me Ashley. Like, no, that's my daughter's name.
He packs him off to Spain.
Yeah. Why does the president think his daughter's in Spain?
I think it's where all these cult members have taken her.
Okay. So that was what was interesting when I first heard the game, was it's like, oh, it's a cult, they're not zombies. You've kind of actually got to just kill people. So it's quite interesting like that.
It kind of goes back to this idea of where Resident Evil started, which was this progenitor virus that was from parasites that they found in the mines.
Oh, okay.
So the other good thing about Resident Evil 4 was that it was a step away from what you were used to. So in Resident Evil 1, you're in the mansion. 2 and 3, you're in the city, where they're like near the mansion. This was totally different setting, and not just your regular Umbrella biohazard breakout virus.
Yeah.
It was kind of like giving more depth to the Resident Evil lore, and also in a totally different location. And a lot of the enemies would kind of have these parasites coming out their back and stuff, and if you blew their heads off, parasite would come out. It was just a lot more...
Yeah, it was way more complexity, or you could say detail, and in a positive sense. There was like the religious aspect, it felt like, as well.
There's a bit in a castle where they're just all the religious peoples are there, and they've got those goat masks on and they're chanting.
Cultists.
That's it. What did I call them? Religious peoples.
Yeah. Bunch of cultists.
Cultists. And there's like blooming guy in the red cloak with the goat mask on who gets on the machine gun. Oh, can't stand him. He gets me every time.
And he's never there when you need him.
And he's never there when you need him. So it went through many versions. The first version was called The Castle.
Yeah.
And this was announced at Tokyo Game Show in 2002. And it was meant to be set in a Spencer Castle. So how the first Resident Evil was Spencer Mansion, this was meant to take place in Spencer.
Oh, I see. So they just wound back
Castle.
time. Like when they do a Wild West Bizarro episode of something.
Yeah.
Like Tremors 4.
I've not seen Tremors 4. It sounds like it'd be my kind of bag, though. But it has a lot of development problems, so they wanted to create this enemy that was like a black fog. I think maybe like the fog
Lost.
from Lost.
Yeah.
But I love that. Lost is so good. But it was later compared to Ouroboros, which is this black tentacle enemy that is in Resident Evil 4.
Okay.
So that was like due to technical limitations of the time.
Yeah, I don't know how they would have done that.
Scrap that one. So version 2 was called The Hallucination. And this was shown at E3.
What do you mean version 2? You mean the second, like, try and present the game kind of thing?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And this was shown at E3 the following year in 2003. And this had a lot more of a supernatural feel to it. So like dolls were coming alive.
More Silent Hill like.
It was a lot more Silent Hill. You can see videos of this online still.
Okay.
But again, cost of development on the GameCube and the limitations of the hardware, they got rid of that.
Wow, okay.
That eventually led to Devil May Cry, which we all know and love.
Right.
I know and love. The final version called Zombie was the closest to what we see now, but that idea was also scrapped before Shinji Mikami came back on as director. And
oh, right. So he kind of like pulled it back together into what we know today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jamie said that Resident Evil 4 was supposed to be one of Capcom Game Club's exclusives. Capcom's GameCube exclusives. I just said Game Club.
Nintendo Game Club.
As you said.
Yeah.
But he said it's ended up being converted and released on absolutely everything, up to and including the Zeebo, an entertainment and education system released in Brazil and Mexico.
Wow, he's packed with niche facts. I love it.
He also says other Zeebo titles include Action Hero 3D Wild Dog and Peggle.
Peggle. I love Peggle. I haven't played Peggle for years.
So, yeah, this is like Leon at his best. I wish there was another Resident Evil game that just had this version of Leon.
Best of Leon.
Like, do you remember when one of the bad guys is like, I'm going to set my right hand on you? And Leon's like, your right hand comes off. It's like stuff like that all the time. And
yeah,
it's great.
It's pretty hyper cheese.
I love it. Anyway, that's Resident Evil 4.
Love it.
What's your final game?
Final game. I told you I got 4, Liz. So strap in. Actually, I'm going to do this one quickly and then move on to my third one. So, this one, how to put it? So, basically, in the mid-90s, coming back to my obsession with first-person shooters with billboardy enemies and things.
Max Payne.
No.
That wasn't first person either.
No, it wasn't. Alien Trilogy.
Amazing.
It's something that I absolutely loved.
Yep.
But I'm not talking about that, Liz.
Alien vs Predator.
Exactly.
Yes.
1999, Rebellion Developments, published by Fox Interactive. Alien vs Predator.
Amazing. I love this game.
It was fantastic. So it's a step up from Alien Trilogy, which was on PS1 and PC, and was, like I said, very billboardy, but set a certain style, and it was a good quality bar. But what I absolutely loved about AVP, which was because it felt like the kind of like natural maturing of, like if you look at Blood and then Blood 2, Blood 2 is very kind of like floaty. You could tell they hadn't really locked down, how to do polygonal 3D particularly well. And it was just, it didn't feel great. Whereas the first Blood was, the hallmark of it was that it just felt really tight. It was really good.
Yeah.
But then Alien Trilogy, which felt a bit slow and clunky, then going into AVP, which was just like mayhem and super fast, was exactly the way around that you want to do it.
Yeah.
And the thing that was great about it was that they really obviously sort of leaned heavily on Aliens, as in, the James Cameron Aliens, in the sense that the first levels that I played, at least in the demo that I played before I got the full game, were the marine levels. So it was all about, going through the corridors and everything of the colony or wherever they were in Aliens, that they land on the planet and everyone's gone and everything. But because it's totally dark, you've got like a finite number of flares, and you've got your little radar, like things coming towards you. You're like, oh shit. So they do like a really amazing job of like controlling light and dark and what you can see and can't see, and just the dread of what's around.
Yeah.
And I didn't like, for some reason, I never got into like Alien Isolation, and I hear it's excellent. But yeah, AVP was great, and obviously you could play as the aliens and predators.
I was going to say that's what I love so much about it.
Yeah.
Although Aliens just had a total advantage. I don't think I ever lost as an alien.
That was weird, and you could obviously, like when you say lost, you could do the multiplayer. The thing I remember as well is like the intro to the campaign of Aliens was super gross.
I don't remember.
Do you remember this?
No.
So you could play as an alien, and basically it started off with this cutscene where there's some scientists gathering samples from the little baby xenomorph things that have been implanted in people, and you're like, oh, they're doing sick experiments.
Again.
And then you cut to the scientists, and the scientists are like, oh no, where's this one gone out of this tube? And then the guy who's the other side of the glass naturally just hits the big red button, and they're like, no. So then they've got 2 more people who have, got the xenomorph in them. And then like it cuts to like, 10 hours later or whatever. And you are in first person view of the xenomorph. And basically there's like the doctor behind the glass telling you what to do. But then you basically see them walk a guy in, and the person who's walking them in is this android soldier thing, just being like, yes, clause BC50 of your contract has come into effect. And the guy's like, oh, okay, as long as I still get paid. And then they sort of shove him into the room with you, and you just have to maul the shit out of him.
What?
And then the doctor's like,
oh,
fascinating. He's learned to eviscerate something with his tiny head inside his own head, or whatever. Whatever was in an alien.
What is the tiny head called? It must have an anatomical name.
Michael. I think it was called Michael. On all of them as well. It's really weird. Strange coincidence. Oh yeah. Hello. Anyway, so you were basically, they just kept wheeling in these poor chumps.
Oh my
who they were going to
gosh.
experiment on, and then you just had to maul them and then escape from the room that you were in. It were dead good. But you, like, similar to the 46.6 miles an hour you could run in Blood, the unnatural advantage that Liz is referring to
that.
is the fact that the aliens were just ridiculously fast, and you just basically whipped along and you could walk
Go
up and
everywhere,
around
yeah.
the ceilings,
You
which
could-
was
yeah.
really cool and quite smart, sort of well done design, I think. So well done there.
Never played as the Marine, I don't think.
Oh, I love the Marine. Yeah, so the reason I put it in, this is the first one I wrote down actually, because I'm like,
Because it's great.
this is the one, A is great, and B that shat me up. As
Yeah,
it were.
yeah, for sure.
Because when you are wandering about and you haven't managed to light your flare and there's a face hugger doing a little like, I don't know if that picks up on the mic, a little skittering around,
Yeah.
and you can hear the little legs. And then basically when it gets you, it just goes like almost in a couple of frames, like super quickly to like full screen face hugger on your
No,
face.
you don't need it in your life,
Which is
do
why
you?
I hope they never make a
VR.
VR one of that,
Ugh.
because I would literally die in real life.
Can you have, in Aliens, the lady in it who has that massive gun that like she straps on her waist?
Ripley?
No.
Oh. Oh, you're talking about yeah, no, I know.
Is it Aliens?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
they go to the colony
Oh, God,
and
why
there's the
can't I remember her
really
name?
tough girl, and she has, it's like a gun that's almost on a rig.
Yeah,
can
and
you get that in it?
they built it out of a Steadicam.
It looks like a Steadicam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The making of that film is fucking awesome, but apparently working with Cameron on that is an absolute nightmare.
Is it in the game?
Yeah, who am I thinking of?
I mean, I can't remember the name of the gun.
Vasquez. Who's who we're
Vasquez.
talking about. Yeah, Jeanette Goldstein. She's also the mum, the foster mum in Terminator 2.
Really?
Yeah, it's really surreal. She does not look like that in real life at all.
Has she still got the gun?
No, she hasn't. She's got an arm because she's been taken over by the T-1000. She's got an arm
It's
through the
her!
guy's head, yeah. She's the one who's like, Wolfie's fine, honey. Wolfie's just fine. And Arnie's like, your foster parents are dead. She's great. And little known fact, she now runs a bra company for ladies with bigger breasts.
Oh, wow.
That's a random fact that
Didn't
I
know
got
that.
from a podcast about aliens.
Is that, how did this get made?
No, that's the one that you dislike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that one. It's a podcast called Blank Check
Blank
with Griffin and
Check.
David. Highly recommend it. It's about directors who get a lot of success early on and then get given a blank check to make whatever kind of movies they want.
That sounds great. I need to
It's
listen
a
to
really
this.
great podcast. Highly recommend it.
I must say, I've only listened to one episode of How Did This Get Made, and it was about Jaws, and
And you're very
there was
staunch
not
about Jaws.
enough Jaws facts in it for me.
I don't feel like you've given it enough time, Liz. I'm going to say that right
I
now.
listened to 12 seconds, and there was not enough Jaws facts.
Okay, I'm going to pivot right now because I've got one more game to cover, and then we can go to your last game.
Can I have another one of these Haribo Frog Sweets?
Yeah,
I
as
mean,
long
I've
as-
eaten the rest.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to, so feel free. Yeah, so my last one is probably one of my favourite games of all time. It's from 2008. It is Peggle. Good memory. I do love Peggle. First person shooter.
I thought you didn't like first-person shooters.
Yeah, I did.
When
What are you
we
talking
did
about?
when we did our history. Are you the Will? Are you Will? Are you really you? Because when we did the
Who
history,
are you and what do you do?
what are
you?
you and why are you a genius? When we did our history of gaming episode, we were both like, "Oh, I don't like first-person shooters. Don't think there'll be any in this podcast."
Did we say that? Well, I was wrong because I
might be
played a lot
paraphrasing.
of. I probably stopped playing them after Far Cry Crisis sort of time. So, like, yeah, mid 2000s, I probably dropped off quite a lot with first person shooters.
So you are really Will.
Yeah, confirmed. Yeah, I played like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and then Call of Duty 4, and then dropped off. But at that time, played a lot. And this particular game really brought me back. It's not about the first person shooting though. It's about the co-op. Come on, Liz, you've got to guess this. Co-op shooter.
Co-op
One of the
first-person
best
shooter.
ever.
And what year?
2008. 4 players.
Oh, Left 4 Dead.
There it is.
Yeah, it was great.
Is that because I was doing the logo effect?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm holding up my my hand with my severed thumb hidden behind it.
I remember Left 4 Dead at uni.
Exactly. It's just perfect. It's
great.
The perfect co-op game. So yeah, it was all about the intensity, the hordes, survival with your friends, all the like mad strategies you would have. Like I played with a bunch of friends. Shout outs to Henry, Simon, Bill, Aidan. We played this game to death, and we always had like. We had our role. We knew what we were going to do. Like we'd do this thing.
Don't be a hero, Will.
We'd be on chat.
Yeah.
We'd have like voice chat and stuff. And be like, okay, so you're going to go over here, do that. When this comes down, there's a thing over there. I'm going to make a break for it. Go and get this thing. That I'm going to put a bunch of canisters there, so when they come out, we can hit them. And it was all just about like that. And we played the survival mode quite a lot as well, where you could just clock up time, just to see how long we could go for. And there was tons of like achievements in Steam as well. They just had all kinds of mad shit, but it was just so intense. Like the amount of just trying to survive when you like so many times getting knocked down, reviving people. Like, okay, who's got a med kit? Okay, I'll use that. You can have that, and then just like getting to the end of because you had like checkpoints, didn't you?
Yeah.
That kind of like sectioned it all off. And like the work that they put into what they called the AI director was like really the kind of pivotal part of what made it a brilliant game.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Well, they basically had very specific things to structure the encounters. So they would know where the characters were in relation to each other.
So it's like trigger events and things.
Yeah, so they're triggering events. They're also balancing, when is the tank going to come out? When do we release the spitter?
I see.
Like you knew, like if someone walked off by themselves...
a witch had come out.
Yeah, a witch. Or one of those things with the long tongue that would strangle you and pull you away.
Yeah, they were awful.
So it had all of these things to balance the scenario depending on what you did. And that's what they called the AI director. And yeah, it was just awesome. And the witch...
I never killed a witch, I don't think.
Oh, we did.
How did you kill it?
You do. You just basically have to hammer it, but you all have to hammer it. And so you can take her out if you've got the right thing. You can't. If you set her off by yourself, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the kind of like the witch was a character who would just be this sort of like all in white hair, sort of just slowly rocking. Was she
crying?
She was sort of crying and rocking,
wouldn't you? And you'd be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
And you're like, "Oh god, there's a witch around." But you could just hear her. You could rarely like just spot her.
Yeah.
And eventually, you slowly had to figure out where she was using, mostly wearing headphones and trying to be like, "Oh, are we getting close to her? Oh, okay, be careful," because then she would just rip one person.
Oh god, yeah, she'd just go
straight away.
As soon as she spotted you, she'd be like 46.6 miles per hour straight at you, wouldn't she?
Blood mode.
Yeah, she'd go straight into blood mode.
Yeah. So I absolutely loved Left 4 Dead. We played Left 4 Dead 2 a bunch as well.
I don't think I played Left 4 Dead 2,
But it was a bit of a weird one at the time because it felt a little bit like it could have been a bit of a DLC because there wasn't much different about it. Like there was a bit of a graphical leap, slight changes to the characters and weapons, but otherwise it felt like a very similar game.
Yeah.
So a few new enemies and stuff. But basically they did pretty much what you'd want as a Left 4 Dead fan, more Left 4 Dead. It was just great. But I still think I feel like the original just had something special about it. In the same way that Carmageddon 2 was probably definitely a better game in most ways. There was something special about the first one. Left 4 Dead 2 had a lot more spectacle to it. So like, it started like one of the levels I remember was like a crashed 747. So there was just like this huge plane. One of them was like a destroyed shopping center and stuff. There's a lot more scale to it.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it was just a wonderful series. And that's like, if I look at that group, like I love Blood a lot, but just the memories of playing with my friends, Left 4 Dead is my fave.
Left 4 Dead's pretty memorable. I remember everyone used to play it in the labs after uni had finished.
Nice.
And they'd all just jump on a PC and play. I can't quite remember. Was there classes in Left 4 Dead? Or could you choose any character and then just be like, okay, I'm going to go in as the heavy, I'm going to be the medic? I can't quite remember
I'm pretty sure there weren't classes. Like you pretty much had
because I just
kind of and you carried medkits and so on. don't think so anyway. I'm pretty sure not.
I hid most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
You were that person.
As soon as I heard a witch, I'd hide.
Right. Well, yeah, that's just good strategy.
And yeah, what were they called? Were the ones in the hoodies that used to like crawl on the walls? Were they the ones with the long tongues?
No, the hoodie guy was called oh my god, I can't remember. But basically they would leap on you and just start pummeling you.
Yeah, they were awful.
There was a thing in 2 that would jump on your back and start punching you in the head and pull you away. Then there was the boomer, who's a giant. The giant,
I remember the
giant
boomer.
that you could shoot, and then they would just sort of splatter apart and leave acid blood everywhere.
Yeah, it was a great game. Who created it? Was it developed by Valve?
No, it was a company called Turtle Rock Studios. Did those first 2. They left Valve after 2 and made a game called Evolve. If you remember that.
Yeah, I remember Evolve.
Which I thought was going to be awesome, but critically poorly received and commercially a bit awkward too. It was just too complicated, I think, from a leap from Left 4 Dead. But they're now making another sort of co-op shootery thing. It's coming out either the end of this year or early next year. Awesome. But yeah, Turtle Rock were absolutely awesome. Yeah. That's the end of my games.
Is it? They were really good games. I feel like you could have done an episode about all of them.
That's true. I definitely could. So let's talk about Resident Evil 5, which is presumably your last game.
Which is inevitably my last game.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I was joking.
Well, this is what I thought. I thought I'd do 3 of my favourite one of my favourite series across the console eras.
Okay, great.
So I've got the 360 version of Resident Evil 5 here. Also, in a similar theme, this was the first Resident Evil, to my knowledge, apart from maybe the Resident Evil Outbreaks of PS2.
Okay.
That was co-op. And so Resident Evil 5 was released in 2009 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Also published by Capcom. Developed by Capcom as well. Shinji Mikami was not the director for this one. Instead, the production director was Yasuhiro Ampo. Okay. I'm hoping I've said that right. Who was the programmer for Resident Evil 1 and 2 and went on to direct the Resident Evil 2 remake. So, Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
I wanted to do an episode solely on this because I love Resident Evil 4, but Resident Evil 5, I don't play it every year, but it's probably one of my favourites.
So this is quite a maligned game, is it not?
What does that mean?
As in like after
what does?
As in after 4, people were and 5 came out, and I seem to remember there being a bit of a furore about it being set in Africa as well. People saying it was racially insensitive because you were shooting people of colour.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy. Over that.
But also the sort of in addition to the controversy, just maligned in the sense of you mentioned this about Final Fantasy 7 to 8. It's like the difficult second album syndrome of we made a really popular game, got to follow it up now. It's got to be different, and yeah.
So there was a lot of controversy around it, and I completely understand that controversy. But the thing that I liked so much about 5 was it took everything that worked from 4 and tried its best to recreate that and evolve that.
Okay.
So it had all of the action from Resident Evil 4. And it had the setup of Resident Evil 4 in that it was not in a mansion. Well, the DLC was. You were out in the
township kind of thing.
Yeah, you were out in the blistering sunshine, which was a bit of a difference from other Resident Evils.
Yeah, cool.
And the setting was totally different. You had your partner was Sheva Alomar, who had not been in any of the other Resident Evils, so it was a nice fresh direction on it.
Yeah.
And it was co-op.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of people I know were Resident Evils are made to be played alone because it's part of that solitude that makes it scary. But Resident Evil 5 really had the slant of all action like Resident Evil 4 did.
Yeah.
So being able to run in there with your mate and shoot some lickers.
Sorry, what was that? Shoot some lickers?
Oh, the lickers in Resident Evil 5 were the scariest.
What are they?
So licky lickers are, do you know in Resident Evil 2
Please stop saying lickers.
The thing with its brain exposed and a really long tongue?
Yeah.
It's them, but they're evolved in this one. They have like a leather skin.
So they're just baked in the sun a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Lovely.
And they're just really creepy. And there's this bit where you have to go through a liquor lab and all the lickers have escaped.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
And and you have to like sneak around and not make a noise, otherwise they all turn on you and they're really nasty.
Right.
So, Resident Evil 5 is you play as Chris. Chris from Resident Evil 1 fame.
Yeah.
Who has now gone on to join the BSAA to try and take down Umbrella. He has pumped up a lot. He punches boulders to bits in this. His arms are as big as his body. He just loves the gym.
Yeah.
And
he does look pretty hench.
He's very hench, but he's also really fun to play again. He's like a good form of Chris, like Leon was such a great form of Leon in 4.
Yeah.
They really took the elements of 4 that made it so enjoyable and brought it to 5.
He's living his best Leon.
He's living his best Chris.
Right, fair enough.
And you're looking for Jill because Jill's gone AWOL.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, your favourites are there.
Yeah.
Now, my favourite Resident Evil villain, if not favourite video game villain, is the bad guy in this.
Really? Okay.
So, Wesker.
Who and why? Wesker.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't Wesker in one of the other games?
Wesker was the bad guy in Resident Evil 1.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So, in true
Wesker
Resident Evil style, you famously see... Yeah, you. Specifically you. See Wesker die at the end of Resident Evil 1 at the hands of the Tyrant.
Please tell me he says something like, I watched you die. No?
He kind of takes on the role of Nemesis and just shouts, Chris! He does that a lot.
Chris! Where are you, Chris?
Chris! He does that a lot. So...
Yeah, well, I mean, he was shouting stars before. You can't really shout BSAA.
Bizarre. So it turns out he didn't die at the end of Resident Evil 1. What actually happened was he was part of this project called the Wesker Project, which...
He was part of it. Wesker was part of the Wesker Project.
He was,
That's
and they made like 12 of him.
Coincidence. They made 12 of him. Are you serious?
Yeah. And so one of them is the bad guy in Resident Evil 5. And this one wears sunglasses and a long Matrix-like coat and moves at the speed of light.
And he's got moobs.
He's not got moobs. Let me have a look.
You just said he moves at the speed of light.
I think it's just his jacket.
Yeah, just an awkward cut.
It's just an awkward cut, yeah. He seems happy with it, though.
Yeah. He looks quite like a young Christopher Walken.
Yeah, he does.
Mixed with The Matrix, like everything seems to be designed after.
He's very Matrix-y.
Yeah.
And it turns out, he's the one that kidnapped Jill.
Oh, bastard.
And
why did he do that?
He put this thing in her chest for, like, mind control, and it turned her blonde. But,
It would do, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm no expert in, like, genetics or biology, but I imagine it's scientifically correct. So what he thinks is he's going to release this virus called Ouroboros.
Yep.
That only lets the people that it infects who are genetically sound live.
Oh. So it's like an ethnic cleansing kind of thing, but with some form of their genetics.
Yeah.
Right. And what aspect of the genetics? What's the advantage to him and his evil plans?
I didn't understand that bit.
Cool. Good. Really thought we were going to get.
But if you go to the Resident Evil wiki page, I'm sure there is some.
I mean, why would you listen to this podcast if you wanted facts?
Yeah, anyway? No, exactly. So that's his plan. And what ends up happening when this is the kind of thing that you want is that you get blown up in a volcano. So,
is that you spoiling the ending? Skipping ahead to the ending.
In the end boss, he sets Ouroboros on himself.
Okay.
And it makes him really strong and tentacly.
Tentacly.
And
tentacles.
Tentacles. And so you, as Chris, punch rocks into a volcano.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then you get into a helicopter And I think Chris says something like, suck on this. He says something, action hero-y.
Yeah.
And
get your rocks off.
yeah. And you just launch a rocket launcher into Wesker's face. And I remember at the time being really upset about it because I think he's a great bad guy.
But there's 11 more of him, you said, right? But they made 12.
Yeah, he's never been in any of the other games. But
but any day now, he's be back, won't he?
Well, his son's in it. Jake.
Wesker Jr. Jay Wesker Jr.
Jay Wesker Jr., voiced by Troy Baker in Resi 6.
Oh.
Chris is back as well. In fact, Chris's campaign in Resident Evil 6 is the best. Yeah. So, the DLC went back to basics. So you were Jill and Chris in the Spencer Mansion, because there's like a flashback section to the Spencer Mansion in Resident Evil 5 as well. And yeah, it was really great. And it got a lot of stick, but I think, like you said, it was probably because it was following up to Resident Evil 4, but I thought it was fun, and I liked the story, and I liked the characters. There's lots of cool locations, like there was in 5, like there was in 4. And again, it just added to the lore of the whole Resident Evil series. So I really enjoyed it very much. And I wanted to do a whole episode on it, but I think it's kind of had its moment in the sun now.
Yeah.
The back of the box just says, "A fear you can't forget. Joined by his partner Sheva, Agent Chris Redfield will soon learn the real meaning of fear." There's not actually any alluding to the story or plot, or the fact that Wesker's in it, or you end up in a volcano, or anything. But
wow. Exciting.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it has a little like prologue at the beginning, like a script of what they say to each other, and it's just blooming
like
marvelous.
A little intro comic. So Liz is recommending the video games Resident Evil 3, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Out of those 3, what are you picking? What's your fave?
I mean,
it's 4.
Yeah, I think 5's the underdog. And
so what are you going for?
It deserves more than that. I think obviously 4.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But the other thing about 5, which is really good, is in the manual at the back, it has a history of Resident Evil.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like the timeline of Chris up till now.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So it's from like 1996 to 2009. And also about what happens to his sister, who was the protagonist of Resident Evil 2.
That must have been quite nice. I think, well, we've got this story. It's been going on for 13 years or whatever.
Yeah, it's great.
At that point. Good job. Liz,
I'm
happy Halloween.
I'm a bit, and I don't know, I cannot choose between 4 and 5. I can't, I'm sorry, I can't.
You chose 4 a moment ago.
Yeah, but I just did it because I thought it's what you wanted to hear.
It is. So I'm happy. Speaking of happy, Liz, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, I'm going to eat more sweets now.
Yeah, we're now going to eat a lot more sweets.
I've eaten
and drink
more.
some more fizzy pop. And go and scare some children. So thank you for joining us on this Halloween special of Fierce Feedback. There's nothing to vote for this time around.
No
need.
Just did it for funsies, isn't it?
Just enjoy Halloween and all of the tricking and or treating. And if you want to hit us up, you can speak to us on Twitter. We're at Fierce Feedback. You can speak to us on the Gmails. We are fiercefeedback@gmail.com.
We are indeed.
And Liz, I'll see you for the next special episode before season 2 of Fierce Feedback.
Marvellous.
Bye, Liz.
Bye.